I think they've had like the best descent we've seen worldwide thus far, and it looks like we're not going to have a chance to see it today. Instead, starting off on Pearl, Lotus then heading to Haven as the decider. I think Pearl should be an interesting one. We saw this one earlier from Cloud9. They were playing this double duelist comp with Oxy locking in the Jet alongside the Yoru. Interested to see if they're sticking to that one there on MIBR's map choice, where they just took down G2 here, showing Aspas's first debut on the Waylay.
C9 getting rid of Ascent at the end there in order to go to Haven. Incredible surprise, considering how well C9 have played just recently on that map. I thought that might even be a map pick coming out here. But looking like they're trying to attack the weak side of MIBR's map pool, potentially, rather than maps that they themselves are feeling super confident on.
The other issue with a map like Ascent, it's so defense-sided. Picking it, you're almost always going to be forced into starting attack. But here's your agent select for Pearl. No changes from either team. MIBR going back to this Waylay comp.
But both teams playing really unusual compositions. I don't think either of these teams, you could really call these comps the meta right now. No solo Yoru. Even the team that's running the Taeho is not comboing that with another agent that's like super meta. The Taeho KO is not being played too much.
I think it is a little bit more on the nose of the meta over on the side of MIBR, bringing out the Vikes, who has looked really strong on this map, and I think it's super comfortable role for their rookie, Cortesia. But over for C9, it's been a bit since we've actually seen them play into this comp. Little bit similar to what T1 showed, but you lose out on some of the tools you get with something like the Neon, not having the stun. Instead, this is going to be a lot more reliant on Oxy's individualism and what he can do with the AWP on defense.
And I think it's the perfect map to start this series off and just be focused on Oxy versus Aspas. Oxy was top of the scoreboard as far as I can remember last time they played this composition on Pearl.
Pretty much always is.
Yeah, sure. And Aspas, he's the player to watch when you're looking at their attack side, which is where MIBR are going to be starting. Double dashes into backhauls on B, double dashes into Secret on A.
Aspas has played 10 maps of Jet, only 2 on other agents. This will be his 3rd now. Interesting to see him off it, and Oxy still locking that agent.
Stealth drone going to be broken nice and early. Got to be careful if that was caught.
This Taeho drone was never a fake last time MIBR played on their attack side, and look how quickly C9 have got that as a heavy read. They started rotating players B almost instantly.
But Vic is still posted up in A main. His position will be really strong here, especially if he can win the 1v1 against Burnout.
He's going to be the playmaker in this particular spot, MIBR. Open access now to the side itself, but dominating this angle right here, Verno wins out. Vitally important one, so A main no longer a worry. MIBR can settle in a little bit here, and they're digging deep into the extremities of the site. It's going to be a very difficult retake to try and attempt if you are Cloud9.
They've got so much post-plant utility for this. Fragment grenade, salvos coming through, pull on the post-plant as well. It looks almost impossible for Cloud9.
There's a nade flash in your face if you add in, but you just want to be buying time, staying alive for as long as humanly possible. Cloud9 able to dissect various portions of it, but as you said, the post-plant util, a little bit too much to overcome, to be honest, so almost inevitable when MIBR get set up in that spot.
For MIBR as well, I love how proactive this team gets when they're in their post plants. They're a team that is super willing to let the people who no longer have key utility online get active. You see Shenom there walking all the way through, taking his 1v1 against Mitch, getting that pick, and they're always a team who's going to be kind of testing you, taking as much space as they can in these rounds.
Nice! Let's go.
There's a 3K from Aspas as well to get that pistol.
I do want to pay a little bit of attention, though, to that Verno drone that you saw at the start of the round. It went over towards B with the pullback smoke, and normally that's the drone is going to be where MIBR actually finish. You see C9 fighting heavy over this area, but I think MIBR are just going to spot this and leave, basically. One of the best ways, I think, to play against C9 with this kind of comp is going to be to find out where the duelists are and back away from them. You certainly don't want to be taking close-range fights against anyone like Net with a classic in his hand, either.
Rotation here by Cloud9. Sidamore already following up a lot of the sound cues.
Mitch is already outside.
Yeah, leading the way in, just trying to weave in and out behind the pillar as well. Flash up and over, and a decent peek as well coming through. That's Zeppa following up. Nice little two-piece on top of it. Classics in hand. There's only so much you can do. Not been able to do a decent amount of damage here, but all wrapped up here for MIBR. Second round on the board, be able to reclaim some of those guns.
Yeah, and it's not too bad at all, actually. They only invested 3 guns into the round, and they come away with 3 players alive. So they're still going to have a pretty excellent bonus. And this is where we can start to see some ideas. Aspas is 5-0 already. Loves getting started like this. And if he has a big bonus here, he might even have some kind of like post-plant ult to be able to work with on the waylay. So my eyes are on him. Where's he looking to path? Like I said, last time MIBR were on the attack side, double dashes into back holes, double dashes into secret, but this time maybe exploring mid.
With this comp, Aspas has a lot of tools to help set him up, be it the drone or Astra utility coming in to assist him, and I think it's such a perfect agent for him to play. You heard, I believe it was Oxy who said that he expected all the best Jets to be playing Waylay. Well, this map he's not, but Aspas locking that down.
My humble king doesn't consider himself one of the best Jets, apparently. That's a big kill to find onto net. So this one, it feels like a full B push from MIBR. They do all of their same protocols, but then they double swing through double doors. So they're adding layers onto what they showed last time. Remember, last time was only the first time that MIBR had showcased this Waylay comp. So you know that C9 are going to have looked at those VODs. You know that they're going to be expecting certain things. And MIBR's coaching staff are adding twists onto what they showed previously. Like this one, a fake full B hit into a double lurk through double door.
And going into Yoru comps, these long pauses in the mid-round are so strong, being able to time out that gate crash. And as it fades, they'll slowly start to walk up towards B. Only 2 defenders here for C9.
Big knife against the back wall here. Mitch is under a lot of pressure. Heat's being turned up against him, flash in your face as well. Needs a bit of help, and a bailout potentially. Run and gun is ordered up here from Artisan. Reset of the aim, rifle in hand, Zepper. Delivering death from above. Leaves it into that 2v2. Oxy creeping, crawling up onto the angle. Cortesia, sharp, precise. Watchful eye onto it, defends it, gets the plant down now. Leaves Vic in a very awkward spot. Has to isolate these fights nicely and just weaving in and out. Playing off one another here. MIBR securing up that third, rattling together these rounds.
And it's the 2 rookie players for MIBR coming in. Very much excited prospects, but from 2 very different regions. I don't think anyone thought Cortesia from Brazil and Verno from NA Challengers would be on a team whatsoever this year, but despite all odds, despite all expectations, those 2 and the rest of the team have managed to gel very well, integrating them into this roster and winning a key bonus round there.
Imi doesn't look very impressed about that one, and we're not going into a tactical pause here. This is a tech pause. A mouse issue, we're being told, but it looks like more of a strategic problem to me from the outside. not to downplay any potential tech issue that we might be having, though it looks like it's on the side of MIBR, not even C9. Yeah, so no excuses whatsoever. But I think MIBR have done a great job here of just taking what they know Cloud9 are going to be expecting and adding twists and turns into it. And I like, Mimi, that you pointed out the rookie players, because Cortesia, the way that he's taking those fights towards the end, you wouldn't think that he's a rookie in spots like that. He's super confident just to re-swing back in and take a fight. And
it's almost the exact same thing with Verno, who, after how poorly things went to start this year with NRG, with getting dropped by that roster, it was a very big risk taken by Fraud to pick him up. Thus far, it seemed to only work out for MIBR.
Now, just while we've got the tech pause, the casters before us, they were doing the bit where if they said certain words, they put the thing in the jar. One of the words that they were not allowed to say was fraud.
Uh-huh.
Now, you're saying fraud.
But with an O.
Right, with an O, right.
The coach of...
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Oh, who do you think is fraudulent on this team?
No, I wasn't saying that, no, actually.
What's the implication?
Does that count as a chip in the box? You said the word.
I'm saying
asking the question.
Fraud's doing a great job on this squad, and Mimi's accent's making him sound like a fraud.
My accent? I don't have an accent, you do, buddy.
Right. Okay.
They brought me in to balance out the British on this cast.
America moment.
Yeah, very America moment.
Yep.
Both of the coaching staffs for this team, we don't talk about them very much. And I think that's a bit of a failure on us sometimes too, but often there's not reasons to get as excited about the strategic components of them. They've both made some really difficult decisions this year.
Controversial ones at that.
Yeah, some of them certainly have been, yeah. But they've paid off, at least in the short term.
MIBR again finding a fairly open B site here.
It's all slow to begin with here. Tiptoeing around through mid, but they just cannot root out Cortesia.
Josh, you're so on the money with calling out Cortesia, because he just has such unbridled confidence, moving all the way from Brazil, playing on a bigger stage, and it has not seemed to skip a beat outside of his very first match in this league.
Now, that is one of those spots where if he goes down and they end up picking up a rifle off the back of that, we're like, oh, Cortesia, you got caught out in the open there. Maybe a little overconfident from you, hey, buddy? But he takes down both Oxy and Mitch on the anti-eco, and it does work out.
And that's been part of the beauty of MIBR for me in Stage 1, that Kickoff was all about them playing basic, boring comps, executing on them really well, Aspas having incredible individual performances. But now, like you said at the beginning of the cast, they're starting to pick up more interesting comps. They're starting to play more on meta. And I think we're seeing more strategic depth and interesting stuff alongside just the great team play and individual confidence that these kind of strong Brazilian teams have always been known for.
Frod's talked about that in interviews too, and he said that one of the things that they really needed to work on was, at the time, they weren't sure what direction the meta was going in. And so they didn't want to put their eggs in one basket too early on. And after Bangkok, I think it was... listen, there were different ideas about where the meta was going, whether it was double duelist or whether it was super Tejo focused. But when you pick up somebody like Verno and your roster doesn't necessarily flex super comfortably into double duelist, unless Ardazine's having a day or something, I think it just makes perfect sense where MIBR are headed.
Going to be a quick clean up towards the end of this round. Cloud9 just tempting to see if they can get any cheeky pickoffs, but they're going to be going down to the spike. There's Zephyr, last one left. 4 rounds in a row now for MIBR. An important game overall for them, to be honest. We haven't really set up the stakes too much at this one, but with a win, Cloud9 would make top 4, no matter what, for Stage 1, so they'd make it into playoffs. Exactly. And for MIBR themselves as well, a bit of a tougher task ahead, because they're 1-1 currently, so this is a very important match for them to try and seal up.
Yeah, sometimes you look back at the end of a round robin and these are the kind of games in the middle of the stage where you're like, damn, this was actually mega important.
This is the focus of the comp for C9, though. They don't pick the Neon, they lock this Jet, and a lot of that is to get Oxy time with the Operator. Instead, it's going to be over towards A, though, in another one of these brawls.
Yeah, going for the clash here. MIBR biding their time. You can see Util is primed, waiting. Ardazine is holding it. It's going to be probably a flash overhead. Yeah, and here comes the peek and the play. Goes pound for pound, though. A lot of Util just trying disjointing all of this, and somehow Ardazine's the one who's taking contact, taking point. And this is MIBR being dismantled in the process. Just trying to play and weave in and out here, but caught into the corner. Verno's got nowhere to run. Left up to Cortesia and Shannon. See if they can pick up the pieces and make something of the rest of this round.
They're so far out of this play, though. Oxy's got an operator on the other side of the map. They have to retrieve the spike in A main. C9 with a triple lock have just destroyed that A main hold that MIBR were trying to take. They needed to get Aspas into position so that he could ult and exec into the site.
They're spotting these players out as well. And Shanem's going to be hoping he can take the op out of Oxy's hands. Oxy realizes it. Want to be trying to hold on to this one. For MIBR, it's going to be meandering around the map at this point.
30 seconds and what Oxy's op brings to the defensive side is not just his skill with the weapon, but it affects how they play their macro quite a lot. C9 likes leaving him on these longer angles, say B long or walked up into A main, holding that space, and then being really proactive in other areas of the map with their initiators and their Yoru, who are going to be a lot stronger at going for the fights there. Really changes the way that they can actually set up once they have that in Oxy's hands, and him holding on to it into another round, even if it didn't find a kill here, is very key.
No, it's super valuable. But also, C9 deliberately go for that play, I think, because they know that Aspas has a massive ult that he can just use to obliterate the A site. With the Waylay ult, he can ult towards Secret, double dash into Secret, and basically any spot on site is either getting highlighted by a Tejo drone or cooked by the Waylay. Now, the problem with that is, he can just do it again. And so what, you're just gonna fight A main every single round until he gives up and goes somewhere else? Maybe. But look, MIBR are just back to the well. They're like, okay, well, C9 are probably not gonna fight A main with 3 players again, so we can just set up for the exact same thing.
Flash overhead. Salvos might be a little bit too late for that one, so MIBR get access to the front of A here. Refract's gonna be fading away here for Aspas, but they're primed and ready to get onto this site.
C9 know it's coming. They're playing full retake here.
Tejo drone clearing out, looks towards Secret, spots that Secret's completely clear. Now Aspas can think about ulting maybe towards Flowers.
He saves it.
In the midst of all of that as well, and here it is, convergent pass in through the back, because that's a big connection to multiple players. Armageddon keeping these players locked into position, trying to escape to the side net. That found himself the slightest of pockets to try and play in. Now making their ways forwards. It's a no command, let rip, but as it emanates out, it just points the perfect direction for Zephyr to spam through the wall and off onto the flank. Oxy, bide your time, wait it out. You've been handed a freebie. He's going to claim it. It's left now just to Shanum.
Last player standing.
Spike down, he's got a lot to do in this spot. To tap of the spike to force out that pull, almost ISOing these fights from the attempt of it still through the cloud burst. And up in the air, that's Oxy Shorty in hand to seal away the round.
I love the way MIBR played that to start, realizing off the Teo drone they had a free sight, saving their ult to combo back towards Flowers, but unfortunately the C9 players slipped the net and end up setting up a really nice retake here with the late flank coming through from Oxy.
It's hard to tell. I'm not sure whether there was a mistake in where the Tejo ult was put, or whether that's just the kind of way that it tessellates onto the map. But there was like a tiny little pocket towards the back there that Mitch slipped into and didn't die. Because otherwise, I agree with you. It's a fantastic ult combo. I really like the idea. But the execution didn't quite work.
This goes here.
And now grouped all the way up towards B. But this is where both Oxy and Zephyr are looking to fight with a bit of a bait and switch setup.
Already crossed though behind the box. Oxy has to account for multiple angles here. Snapshot broken as well, so Cloud9 still able to double up. Zephyr not being forced off this angle. There it is, wide base in the end. That's Zephyr with a bit of spam to force them out wide into the open. There's plenty more targets though where that came from, and Oxy quick to capitalize. This guy is tearing them asunder. Dash back and active. It's gonna be fading down. Doubled up, discipline on show here by Cloud9.
Oxy wants more.
It's a nasty shot from Artisan, straight through the wall. Dom's out Oxy, but a lot more to do where that came from for MIBR in a 2v4 spot.
Vic's already in their spawn. They're fully encircled here.
That's what Oxy did in the previous round too. So C9 super happy to push out behind and either trap them in or flank them as soon as the Vice dies.
Vic should just be able to seal up this round, although it's being cleared to some degree, but Addison just not quite ready for it. Onto that angle, 28 seconds left. Now, Shannon gets himself a pick, but in terms of an open side, it's a different ask, isn't it?
The rest of C9, though, they are actually starting to book it over to A. They think there's enough time for Shannon to be running in that direction. Shannon is getting himself a cup of coffee over here.
You know how the economy is these days. He's saving.
Yeah.
Being responsible.
Yeah, he is. He's got 4,200 in the bank, but I don't think he quite realized that he would have had a 1v1 on B. He might look at the VOD later and think, damn, I kind of missed an opportunity there.
That is exactly the round you're looking for with this C9 double duelist comp. A bait and switch setup. Oxy going crazy with the operator and completely locking down space towards B long. MIBR's comp doesn't actually have a massive amount to perfectly clear out those angles. If that stealth drone is being broken, Oxy's almost always going to find some path to weasel his way through and get at least one shot across.
Yeah, it's basically just all on the drone. And the bait and switch setups like that, even if they work really well, even if the drone works really well, it's almost always only going to stop one person from being in position. And
at the same time, both of those agents have a get-out-of-jail-free card. If it doesn't work out, they're still in a pretty solid position.
Yeah, unless you get hit by the suppress, of course.
Just got to be faster.
Yeah, you just got to be faster.
More of a you problem, Josh.
Yeah, it is. C9 have now won every single round since Oxy got an operator online, by the way.
Yeah.
So that is making a massive difference to the way that C9's defense works, whether or not he's able to get the kills.
MIBR now have a couple ults online, have the Vice ultimate as well as an Astro Wall. I think they're going to want to try and find some kind of solve over towards B. Dealing with Oxy's operator is the biggest problem when you face up against the C9 team.
And I said early on in this game that MIBR are going to look to go away from Oxy and where Oxy and Zephyr are going to be playing. But when he is solo holding one of the lanes of the map with an op, if you go away from him, you're going into the stack, you're going into the strong site. So that's where it becomes less tempting of an option to just do the avoid Oxy strategy. Now, in this round, he's looking to work a pick through mid. So C9 varying up their defensive setup once more. And actually, MIBR did not do very much defaulting at all when they played against G2 on this map. They were mostly just grouping and going A or going B. Sometimes they worked some A splits. But this round definitely feels like they're just walking straight into Oxy.
There's a lot to consider. What a snap! Straight up, Aspas removed, taken out of the fight. It's a duelist head-to-head that we were setting up, teeing up, talking about.
A very nice reposition out of the timeout, expecting the mid-play. Oxy ready for it. Now C9 get to play from a clean advantage here.
They have lost mid-control, though. There's going to be a lot of unknowns swirling around Cloud9's head, I think, in terms of, oh, we've lost connector.
Zeppa has the position to punish the solo player coming down long, and that's the spike.
Knife thrown, and oh my god, stomping up through B long. That's a critical kill at that. Zeppa taking out Steel Garden. The abundance of util now being thrown forwards and straight into the two players waiting it out. MIBR in a very good spot. Cosmic Divide partitioning this one up as well. It's blind fires from the Shockies, an attempt to try and dismiss most of this one, and the adjustments of Oxy just not quite on target. And at this point, Cloud9 going to be considering different course of action. They just pick up that operator, and they don't even want to play into it.
Yeah, especially with Vic being able to retrieve the op. This is definitely a safe call here. And the whole round essentially comes down to Zeppa, the exact spot that you called out, Mimi. He's got the gate crash to try to escape. I wasn't sure exactly what the timing of that was going to look like, but I think that was his second one in the round. So he should have still had like another 10, 20 seconds. So that's not even going 1-for-1 and dropping the spike. That's straight up getting yourself into a player advantage, spike completely lost, and getting out to help the site anchor. I probably should have just been the round right there.
Especially with how it started. Oxy getting a beautiful kill onto Aspas. And that's all it takes for it to fall apart. MIBR, though, going to be pretty happy to wrestle back some control here. Thankfully for C9, that save means they keep their key weapon online. Oxy's still going to have the operator, and this time he's considering joining up with his team on this A main fight that they showed quite a few rounds.
Which implies that they're just going to leave him posted over there. And MIBR not super heavily focused towards it. You can see that Aspas and the rest of the team looking like they want to take a bit more mid-control rather than focus on fighting A early.
Need that back.
Yeah, possibly setting up into an A split a little bit later. For now, going to work the map a little bit, see what advantages there are to be found. Stealth Strong going to be broken, use pound for pound. There's that dash on top of the box. Aspas forced back though. And Hunter's Fury, hold on, this is a bit reactionary. Mitch is looking to try and punish out through mid. Sending up a couple of pot shots, and Vic just lands a shot onto Artisan. He was cut up away, isolated from the rest of his team.
They clearly don't realize the spike has been dropped in such an open location, because otherwise they could be taking a fight over towards here. Oxy.
Their backs are just open completely towards us, and Aspas may have just realized he has the timing! Oxy just peeks back around again, understanding that, wait a second. Massive opening, and right under sewers, just being caught out into the water. Shanum no more. 2 versus 4. Cortesia, an attempt as well to salvage the round. Now the spike is in the hands of Verno, and they're making their way to an open site.
They are, but there's still an early warning Cypher trip down long.
30 seconds
And I'm not sure how much is left on that gate crash. No, it dissipates. So it's going to be very long rotations from C9, even with the perfect info off this Cypher hat.
Verno got stunned up there by the trip. Still, it's going to be able to stick this plan down in time. Cloud9 quickly realizing. Missed a beat with this one. Still, MIBR doubled up. Verno and Cortesia. Salvo's online for Verno as well to stall and delay this one, but you can see them aggro, aggressive positions. Looking to see if they can turn it into a 2v2 before this retake even gets started. Oxy trying to clear most of the way here. He's out wide though, and his team nowhere near still. Doubled up almost there in time. Leaves it just down to Verno. Primed, holding it with the salvos. That's off the first tap. Forcing these players forward, stunned up, has to ISO. Every single fight coming in his way! Oh. And there's just enough time on the clock for Cloud9 to win that.
God, it would have been mad there if the stun had actually won them the round. Net was staggering back over, but still had a minute and a half to, sorry, a second and a half to play with. This round looked a little lost from MIBR, I would say, as soon as their idea of going for that kind of A split fell to pieces. Shenom's push through water is really ambitious. I think it's quite unlikely you're going to get away with that against good level teams like C9.
And I think even later in that round, the way that MIBR have been defaulting, they haven't managed to get lurks that deep into street over towards B at all throughout this half, and thus have either been running into a late round operator or a late round Cypher drift on this side of the map.
Now, of course, Mitch is going to pick up the operator here because you always want your Sova-opping in this kind of situation.
Yes.
What the heck is going on here? That was just so that Oxy could fight over A main if indeed there was a brawl in that spot. And now it's been passed back over as Oxy goes to meet the brunt of this. The only noise they've heard on B.
Got to go to pick up back mid once more, though. No util to Cloud9, and this knife going to be no connections in through the back of the horse here. Opportunity to send it in. That's what MIBR are really looking for here. They got to time up their util correctly.
Zeppa has his ult. They're happy to play full retake here and might even consider pushing through a flank.
Plant out in the open. Bit of stray spam by Net. Counter spam in order as well to push this guy back. Cortesia has been spotted though, and now getting a bit of a run on and a move on. No trade in sight. Cortesia not to be removed. And now firmly embedded in through mid. This is causing all sorts of worries into the back of the Cloud9 players' minds. Dimensional drift out wide, doubled up. And a swift dismissal. That's Aspas in through the back of the horse, rifle in hand. Seals up the round.
That round is just all Cortesia in mid. Getting a massive 2K there. Dismantling C9's flank, and at that point, what could have been a really strong Yoruwald clearing into backside and flushing out the MIBR players there, has no one actually in a position to follow up. And the round ticks away, and MIBR take a pretty solid lead now in the first half.
I'm not disagreeing that Cortesia was the difference maker there, but just to focus in on the B defensive setup as well. Net's got a trip that's supposed to catch, I think, Aspas as he goes for that double dash into back halls. And Aspas just glid over the top of it. And then when the plant comes down in the open, they also don't deny the plant with spam either. So it looked like a very, very soft defense on B. I think you can hard anchor way more against this Waylay comp. Aspas is dashing into back halls with 1 KO flash max. There's really not that much pressure. I think if you get somebody into back halls, you can fight him.
I think you also kind of have to be more proactive with how you play it when you are locking in this Cypher comp. When you have the Vise, you're going to have a lot of hard stall util to buy time to rotate players in heavily and have a lot of people ready to just fight as the spike is going down. With Cypher, you don't have as much actual stall. You need your Cypher being in there, being proactive, and getting his teammates into the site. Another timeout called for C9 now. Trying to find these last 2 rounds of the half.
And I'm looking at their economy, seeing if they're going to go for the operator again. I would say that they were having the most success when they were just kind of allowing Oxy to hold the opposite side of the map to the rest of the team. So you have Cypher information all throughout mid, and then C9 decide to fight over B or A main, and then Oxy holds the opposite.
Aspas is one off his ultimate, Verno as well. They put a lot of emphasis on getting that tool online, so it does look to be another fight towards A.
Gearing up for now. Baron's going to be dropping soon enough here. Not too sure how much pushback there will be from Cloud9. Looks like they're just feigning like they could be potentially in that spot. Aspas full sprinting.
I like this from C9. They're reacting players into mid. Trying to flush any lurk that's there, be ready to fight back through, maybe even a push, a flank in if this does turn into an A execute.
They know that Cortesia has been fighting pretty aggressively on the lurk, so if you pick him off, then suddenly the Vice wall's down.
Just spotted out. Tagged up there, slow to a crawl. 1 bullet to the head will finish him off here. Open access though. They might be able to get themselves into the A site, get a plant down.
You don't even need to flank retake here because you're always worried about the flank as MIBR.
It's
the threat's
wall.
there.
Armageddon. This is a lot of ults being layered down on top of it. Saturate to try and slow them to a crawl. Fights being taken in through the back of the site. The positions you can play in, kind of isolated right now. There's a lot of chaos thrown in. Time ticking though with a spike drop down here. Shayna pushing back, looking for that free fight. Leaves it just down to Verno. 1v3. Flash through the wall. Instantaneous is the trade-off there by Zeppa. So quick with the response. C9 looking to try and drag this one back to even for the first half.
I like the idea to try and rally there for MIBR, but C9 makes some really good macro decisions throughout. Fighting into mid here, flushing that lurk for basically the first time this half. Cortesia has been getting so much value in that part of the map.
I mean, funnily enough, they have actually been trying to double fight him occasionally, and he just kills both of them.
You gotta take 4, Josh.
Yeah.
Don't take any risks. And then, I mean, just finding some nice double swings as well to make their way back through the site. And Oxy buys an operator again.
I think small adaptation for Cortesia in this final round would just be to sit back a little further, or maybe even just go with the team and don't worry about controlling mid or going for the lurk. MIBR have got ults to be able to get in onto site. Null command. Aspas' Waylay ult as well. They should be able to absolutely obliterate Vic on A.
No attempt to hold his ground.
The anti-KO setup as well. Both of these trips being thrown down. Cypher not going to get turned off.
Vic in a position to get out though, and Aspas will save his ult.
Yeah. Nice speed straight in. His trips are awkward. Ocean's 11-esque, but going to be saving a conversion pass now for this retake. That's going to be primed, ready, waiting now for Cloud9. Still suppressed for the time being, but a quick pickoff onto Artisan. Here it is. Slowed down now, in through the back, and this is it. The go button has been hit. Aspas looking to lay claim to a couple of more lives where he's at least hunting, but now scurrying straight backwards, and there's Oxy in your face. Shorty in hand once more still. MIBR have control of this one, but it's quickly being wrested away from them. There's a 2v2 scenario. Cloud9 in the midst of it. First tap, forcing out that pull. Salvos are on for next. That's Verno here. Zephyr. Another tap, forcing it wide. He is stunned up. Bit of damage into the process. Time is of the essence. Half win cons earned, but no kill off the backside of it. That's 7-5 for a finish of MIBR on his first half of Pearl.
Switching sides.
Hotspots both times we've seen him use the converging path, saving it for the post plant, fighting forward, and it's really such an effective stall tool. It sounds simple to be like, oh, the ult that slows you down when you're trying to retake, but I actually think they use it super well here to buy enough time to just let the post plant cringe win it out.
MIBR have absolutely cooked on this map. On their attack side specifically, it looks good. They got 7 rounds here. They beat G2 on this map earlier as well.
Nice, Verno.
You can see where they're finding success.
Yep, certainly can. And we're going to be finding out a little bit more as well what they've got up their sleeves in the arsenal, potentially, I should say, on the second half of Pearl. Don't go anywhere. Oh, relatively even, all things considered. And yep, there is Endo with his favorite caster, Mr. Rivers.
You're doing great on your play-by-play debut, Wyatt.
Thank you. You know, I'm really trying hard. I'm trying hard. And here we are. Definitely not Wyatt, as it says at the bottom. I don't know. Was Rossi on drugs? What? He was coming in with some energy. I wasn't ready to meet. I wasn't ready to match his freak for that. But the guy was going at 1,000,000 miles an hour and throwing shade to everybody.
I think it was the high of beating Furia.
Yeah, he was on pure adrenaline from beating Furia.
I stepped in.
Tell you that.
I didn't know what the context was. And I'm like, what's going on here?
It's nice to see the players coming elated off the win, to be honest. We don't normally see all of the players like
Yes.
jumping around at the end of the win.
We'll see how that energy stays through the rest of the stage for Leviathan. Hopping into the second half, though. C9 on attack with the double duelist comp. Oxy and Zeppa were great in the first, and they have a fight towards Art.
Here it is, Aspas. Slight bit of bait, and he just has to take the peek anyway. Bullets flying through into the box.
Getting one is even good there for him, to be honest.
It is.
They were completely pre-firing his position.
Zeppa's been embedded in A main. The team will call back towards him.
And Zeppa, despite being down 5-7, has been a monster individually. Will have his opportunities in this attack half as well, especially with Oxy going down, because it puts more pressure on him. Tip of the spear.
No gate crash to get in this time. Just has to contact out with the team.
Down right to the side. Bit of spam from the pixel angle. That is ridiculous stuff from Zeppa, and he's going for even more here. Laying siege to the site, and it's A available. Plant down now, extension into the round here for the pistol. Addison, Stallone making this play. And, wow, okay, net was low enough here. Rapid turnaround. MIBR finding their ways back into this potential pistol, but return of the fire from Mitch. Drop down into pit. Cortesia's going to know at least where one of the players are, but Vic playing the long con. Tuck to the side, and the gamble goes the way of Vic here. Cortesia just not checking the corner.
I'm a fan of C9's macro. I think they have really, with this new roster, found a style that works for them. A lot of their attack side calling has been really solid. I think it's the defense that we've been focused on maps like Ascent, for example, with their double Sentinel comp, but it's good, sensible stuff. I mean, leaving Zeppa inserted into A main, returning back to him, and then getting the entry through, waiting for those refreshable timers to come back. It's all good stuff.
And it's nice to say that for an IGL and Mitch, who, you know, he had his heyday when Valorant was fresh, was when Tens was the best player in the world.
Dude, you can't be bringing that out. Bro peaked in high school kind of stuff.
But that was the narrative. That was legitimately the Mitch narrative for a while. And then he had his good year in Tier 2 last year. Got this opportunity with C9 after they controversially dropped Rossi, who knows your name, in the offseason.
Yeah, definitely knows my name.
Yep. And brought him in, and I think people had low expectations, and thus far he's definitely been surpassing that as a leader and as an individual for C9.
Yeah, Mitch
so
actually...
he didn't peak in high school.
He didn't peak in high school. Yep, no, I appreciate that. He actually looked good when he was calling for them in one of the off-season tournaments, before they brought Rossi in.
It was a Red Bull Homeground qualifier in Seattle.
Sure, there you go. You even know which one I'm talking about, yeah. But... That version of C9 was looking pretty solid too. And once again here, they've managed to navigate away from the stack from MIBR, finding the right place to end the round and get an extremely simple, correct macro call, which avoids all of the potential variants.
I got nothing. Mimi's looking at me to talk about this round. I got nothing. They're gamble stacking aside on the eco. They're going to scurry over. They're going to try to die to the spike.
Yeah, I would imagine this is a die to the spike kind of round, to be honest with you, isn't it? And this is sometimes where you see, like, one of the C9 players is just going to run forwards and see if they can find the people who are waiting to die to the spike.
Looks like Zeppa is the gladiator.
Yeah, first into the Thunderdome. Doing a 1v5.
Yeah, don't want to give away any guns, so Rifle's going to be nice and safe. Buzz. Yeah, casual reminder of who you're playing against.
I've liked some of the innovations coming out of Tier 2 of using like Teo Missile plus Molly to all die without getting ult orbs early. Saves a lot of time.
Aspas, bro.
Aspas?
We are not saving the stinger there.
What just happened?
Saved?
We are not saving the stinger
I looked away
there.
from the screen because the round was over.
That's got to be a tech problem, no?
What?
Did his keyboard stop working?
He
pulled...
Why are you trolling?
He's trolling.
But also, like, he's not even the one that gets punished for this because his teammate dropped him an op. Artazine, you legend. But Artazine just gets the most trolled anyone could possibly get trolled. He's got no armor and a stinger. Aspas, you better pop off this round, mate.
Well, op in hands. He's going to get his chance. Whole multitude of targets! Oh, now he's refracted into the corner. They know exactly where he is.
Oh my God!
Spam just finishes him right off. Uh-oh.
Minus 4,700.
That
and now
is
they're
not
retaking.
ideal, and this is flooding in fast as it happens.
Oh, don't show me Artasine's POV. He's got nothing.
Down to the sides, weaving in and out though, past these smokes, and again, that's going to be the stun. Lay it down into the back of the hall still. Suppressive fire laid down by these Cloud9 players, looking to try and combine their might, and Zeppa with a cleanup. Trade, instantaneous, Shanum slipped his way in through onto their site, and Tappy with a rifle, that's Vic, cleaning it all up now.
Oh, that's diabolical.
A lot to talk about.
Oh, that's diabolical.
A lot to break down, a lot to discuss.
Oh, that's
really.
diabolical.
Oh, he doesn't get anything with the op.
Is that a vibe destroyer?
I mean...
It's destroyed my vibe, Brett.
Ooh, if I'm Artazine in that spot, I'm gritting my teeth and thinking, he's a great player. I don't want to tilt my duelist star player.
Let's go, Vic. Good.
And C9, I think, in that spot, maybe don't even realize. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, they did do a great job at dealing with Aspas there, completely punishing him for going for that peak.
Good spin.
Ardazine is now on a judge, which I've seen him do filthy things with the judge. So have Lev, they were talking about it on the couch. And he's holding double doors. But he's doing the gun game here.
Yeah. Players down and A gets tagged into the process. I think he's hiding his intent there. He had the pistol out. But Cloud9 are going to be walking into him. Updraft up and over. Just spots the head. Right over to the side there. Shanum, though, plucks Oxy out of the sky.
Who's next?
Aspas still kicking out through the back here. So dimensional drift earned up for Zeppi. He's going to make a go of things now. Just try and spot out these players. In through the smoke. That's 3 sighted. It's going to be fading at a moment's notice here. TP back to safety, and there's chaos happening in through connector. Gun seeking to be reclaimed here by Ardazine. Does actually end up picking it up. Tucked to the side. It's an important fight for Net to win out. Disciplined by Ardazine. Not enough to really survive into the midst of all of that, though. Cosmic Divide also going to be isolating, cutting up the site to some degree. MIBR looking to see if they can get themselves into this one. Smoke blooms up. Pull's going to be forced out nice and early here. Cloud9 still working with that player disadvantage, but a bit of spam might just seek to correct that, and indeed it does. Cortesia though, spamming away, sticking away. Someone needs to get on this!
Okay, they're dead.
How's Net picked up 4 in the midst of all of that?
He's just ridiculous.
He was in passenger princess mode all the first half. They were avoiding his sight. Comes out into the second and wins this round for C9. It started rough. This shot from Shannon was incredible. And then a silly judge kill only to somehow bring this back, working all the way through Art.
This is a 3v5, and Net's, I think, got 2 of those kills just pure spamming into the smoke, right?
Okay.
And then jumps back in through. I was a bit confused why MIBR weren't trying to put too much pressure forwards into Art and into A main, but they were relying on the fact that Shannon was still alive and they could play inside the smoke, I think. A gamble that didn't pay off.
And now C9 in the driving seat of this half. MIBR on some rough money.
Yeah, MIBR have had a couple of tragedies here to open up their defense. They are going to be relying on a big individual round, I think, from Aspas at some point here.
He does have the Hero Guardian this round, but not in the best position to get value. He might have a chance, though. A couple members of C9 heading his way.
Slow and steady, though. It's going to create openings for MIBR to capitalize. Trying to rip off a head or two, because he's here. Feeling the heat, and a couple of bullets to the chest, still alive. And kicking Aspas! It's a filthy off angle. Now he needs to dominate this position up through B long. Still taking point. It's a light speed as well. Gets out of dodge, so it's going to be a constant nuisance now at the back of the minds of these Cloud9 players, and they want to try and take a fight a little bit further forwards, not anticipating these angles here. Jump spot reveals the hand anyway. It's a gun given up and over. Mitch in a very difficult spot. The squeeze being applied to him. Salva's out wide. Oh, flick one adjustment. Mitch could be an absolutely legendary play. Cooked up 7 bullets left to work with. Just needs the timing. Just needs to take it. Waiting for the player to wade right in. In versus Verno! It's all Verno here today. Denies a chance of greatness there.
That was a disgusting shot. And the 180 flick to make that nearly doable, I was worried for a moment.
But it was this moment from Aspas earlier on. You asked for the Aspas round, he delivers a massive 2K there, and not only is it those kills picked up, but it segments C9 off, forces them to go into that disadvantaged fight towards spawn. And Mitch's heroics not enough. Aspas now gonna be purchasing the operator.
But remember, last time, this didn't get any value at all. Completely caught, predicted, and dealt with.
This time, there's a couple players heading his way.
Yeah, everybody. He's got the stampeding hordes.
There's going to be a clash developing. Flash into the face. It's going to force that refract immediately straight back. Salvos, Hunter's Fury trying to be used. It's going to ease the pressure that's coming out their way on either side. Maybe a connection onto a player or two, and Shorty's into the smoke. Zoxy, you will be able to find that value. Convergent paths in order. Verno dominating his position. Slow to a crawl. Nobody can lay claim to the site. With reinforcements arriving, MIBR. So quick to correct the course of the round. Thrown off to the side, but as I say that, Vic, how have you found that one? Armageddon out. Oh my goodness! What is going on? From the brink, Cloud9 just bring it straight back. They leave it into the hands of Cortesia to see if he can make anything of this round at all.
C9 walking all the way back through spawn to B. Cortezja does have a bit of util there, maybe a flash to get info.
No, I think they've completely cooked him. I mean, he has no idea at the moment. They could be looking to still finish A. They could be clearing out different positions on the site. Only just now is he thinking about backing up and headed towards the other side of the map.
30 seconds left.
And this is going to be so tough because Vic, Midge could be positioned in any number of a multitude of spots. Especially if they bait this wall out. Oh, that's not a bait.
Hard committal. Yeah, Mitch is locked off for at least a few seconds. No worries though. Slow play by Cortezja.
I don't see how he can deal with Vic up in heaven.
Flash didn't connect. He needs to ISO a fight. He needs to find someone, at least a straggler, potentially. He's sniffed out the position of Vic, but Vic is just on point today. We got to see a replay of how he's managed to salvage that. I mean, the opening kills there.
It's outstanding, and it's shades of the last match Vic played on that Ascent. I think a 6.0 KD against Leviathan. He was incredible there. And in this round, I mean, Verno nearly did it. But these shots from Vic,
buddy.
my God.
Yeah, they're trying to hold a crossfire there. That's a 2v4 that Cloud9 win. 2 rounds earlier, they won a 3v5, and then they almost won a 2v4 again on their anti-eco, admittedly. I mean, Verno's got head in hands at the moment, just trying to compose himself, as the rest of the team, I'm sure, is going through something similar. Because MIBR have been in advantage spots now for a number of the last few rounds, and either struggled to convert or failed to. And almost seemed like in some of these spots they don't expect C9 to be fighting. Like, they think if they get up a couple of numbers, that C9 will just give up. And Vic continues to fight.
On the year, MIBR 5-0, undefeated on this map, coming off of beating America's best team, G2, here on Pearl just last week. Now, facing a very critical venture. Money not going to be very good in this round, likely to be staring down the barrel of 11.
This is a nice spot.
I like the Oxy purchase too. Keeping track of the money, Outlaw in hand.
He's always got the Blade Storm to lean back on as well.
Aggro fight by MIBR in the opposite section. Looking to take control of A main. Cloud9 get the read on this one. It was sniffed out and heard, so reaction now called for into B. Cortezja doesn't grab the one, he was praying for it.
And C9, again, they do such a good job of navigating these anti-eco rounds.
Beautiful shots. Stun doesn't connect either. Artisan, he's worked his way all the way in here with a shot. No way! Those shots missing. Rifles. Oh my. As soon as the round begins, essentially, they get themselves in and get the plan down for Cloud9. There was definitely a danger here in the form of MIBR potentially being able to do something about it. But it leaves Aspas with only a Sheriff and a 1v3. Zephyr low enough that a single shot to the body will do it. But he's got to find any of these fights, and I think the discipline that's been on display so far by Cloud9. Not going to look to let anything slip too much, as I say that, Ned. Peeking out wide, time's ticking away, and with it, options and chances to win.
C9 find themselves ever closer to being able to take this map. And I don't have a big strategic adjustment that MIBR need to make here, because I feel like they're getting into spots to be able to win. It's just about closing things out. And I think that's got to come down more to the individual awareness of what risks to take at the end of some of these spots. It's definitely well within their power to still be able to claw this one back. But C9 digging deeper, making the plays when it matters.
C9 showing a different look to start this round. Oxy gonna put some attention over towards street.
And this is where the Vice Wall is.
Enemy tag.
Keep drone down. There's a lot of presence, actually. They hear this rotation with the footsteps. Drone's going to be broken.
Does he want to go for this?
Oxy can get out if he chooses to. Salvo's up and over the top. They're going to try and double play this one. Forward! Shorties again. This guy is making a mockery of the game. Plays in net perfectly.
And now the map has just exploded. MIBR is scrambling to close off the middle here.
Try and pick up any sort of information they can, and kills are found. Cortese again to be that difference maker. Two-piece Oxy and Net cleaned up. In through main, Shanum. Cloud9 players are going to be steadily walking into him, and they are closing in the net. MIBR working their way in behind. Critical kill. Shanum collects that one, leaves it into the 2v2, and are they going to be expecting this fast? Off onto the flank, Cosmic Divide. Cuts up the sight. Stalled out here by the Thorns for now, buying time for MIBR to get these rotates. It's all about whether or not they expect Aspas to be in a position that he's in. Steel Garden is good. Even better, denying all these weapons, and Aspas has been given that perfect timing again. Immediately capitalizes, and leaves it all to Zephyr. Very difficult spot to be placed in. 1v2. Aspas not choosing to play main, just trying to play tucked up close here. Spike, defuse in order, already found the first one. Half earned, and a kill on top of it for Cortesia. He doesn't stop.
Those are the rounds that MIBR have been losing all half. And finally, in one of these close ones, Cortesia pulls it across the line in the 1v1 and somehow wins that one, despite this ridiculous start to the round from C9.
I think they just stayed there in that mid connector for a little bit too long. I love what they were cooking, Oxy and Net. The way that they went past the wall, the updraft to play Net in, it was all magic. But then sticking in that spot, you're worried about way too many angles. I think they just needed a bit more proactivity in a moment like that. But great credit to Cortesia too, because cleaning both of those kills up as quickly as he did, and then still winning the 1v1 against a Zephyr who's been on fire. Yeah, mad credit. And Zephyr's got his way up to 20 kills across 20 rounds. Cortesia right there with 19.
He's doing it with no monitor, Josh.
Yeah, I mean, that's incredible, isn't it? He's
Mad
like
impressive.
He's like Daredevil. He's just sniffing them out.
It is a monitor issue for Zephyr that we're fixing up.
Daredevil as well operates through smell. Famously.
What is it? He's like a dolphin, is he?
Bro, I watched a movie from like 2000s. I don't know. Is it?
I think he like clicks or something.
It's like sound. It's it's like bat echolocation or something. I don't know, bro.
Yeah.
We need GB here because he's the Marvel head.
Well, that's why they have these plexiglass covers between the two teams, so that you can't just shout really loudly and see where it echolocates off them on the other side.
You guys feel like you're lacking a millennium. Vancilli's behind us. Do you know? What's your question?
What about?
Ask him.
Are you a Marvel head, Vance? No, he didn't look confident.
Vancilli's been studying cave paintings from the early 3000 BC.
He's got no way to clap back, bro.
He was around when they were drawing mammoths falling off cliffs into people with spears.
Can we give this man a microphone? Someone
This is
defend
so
him.
harsh.
No.
You're gonna dump on him and not even give the man a voice?
Yeah, don't
That's
give him a chance to
twisted.
respond. Don't give him a chance to respond.
You're getting it twisted, Josh. All right.
We're going back into the game here as well, so unfortunately, you know, Vancilli's not going to have his opportunity to...
He's crying into his Ospas pillow right now.
I'm sure he is. Well, all right. Artazine. They've got ult to retake here, but MIBR need a good round to get back into this one. The momentum that came off the back of Cortesia winning an important 1v1 just kind of got stifled a little bit by that tech pause.
Blocking sight.
Quick dash forwards. Doubled up with the TP to regain a bit of A main control here for Cloud9.
MIBR wants to look to re-clear mid. Drone gets broken out though, and they put a lot of pressure onto A. Spike still not committed to anything yet though.
I like this in terms of the C9 attack macro though. They keep Zephyr inserted over here, gives them options to return back over to A.
It's so powerful when you have a Yoru on the insert too. Can stay longer than other agents and TP back, but MIBR, they're going to go for their second mid re-clear of the round, and they might have a brawl.
Very proactive. They're going to be meeting a lot of presence. As you mentioned, that brawl, the timing is taken against them, and their heads ripped clean off. Oxy rifle in hands, now making moves. Quick play over towards A, and they're looking to shore this one up as well. A fight to potentially be taken. It really is Shanum on a bit of an island. Updraft though, how do you deal with that one? It's a high-low setup, and Oxy, clean sweep so far. He's looking for even more! Four-piece ace on the cards. Dash active. You know this guy is hunting, clamoring for it. He knows it, and Vic steals it away.
Tragic.
Or smiles.
Tragic.
No, not all smiles.
Well, some smiles.
That's a smile of like, haha, yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah.
Thanks, appreciate it.
What, are you working for iBuyPower? Why are you upset?
Now, this 2K from Oxy seals the deal for what should be the map at this point. That attack side calling where you loop back into mid to try to catch the reaction.
No!
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure he said no there at the end. I don't think he was saying woo.
Followed it with the woo after, though.
He did.
Still a little excited about that one, but...
The buy's horrible here for MIBR. If they need to win 3 rounds in a row, this one's going to be the toughest.
And Oxy's bought the Outlaw. Makes the task even harder with 3 of these players on half armor. I think you need to ask for another Osboss round here. He has the hero rifle. He has the full armor.
No complaints from the way that Cloud9 are playing it. Bit of A pressure. Pulls these MIBR players heavy over towards this site.
Spike drop.
Macro game has been good. The prep game as well on top of it, to be honest. Cloud9 have been very well versed. And what to expect.
MIBR on B playing much more hard anchor setup than we saw from C9. There's Cortez here, just going for that little jump spot. As Mitch tries to keep players anchored to A.
Yep, hit's going to be coming through though, and Aspas is going to be the one to take that contact, and point still delayed, stalled out, at least by the wall for now. Sheer up into your face. Cloudburst up, draft, dash, up and over with a flash to supplement. Oxy is trying to be set up nice and cleanly here. Snap to the side, shorty in your face, too much to overcome. Even if you are Aspas, that heaven control is going to be vital now. Oxy lays claim to it, lays siege to it. MIBR slowly being closed out. Any chances of taking this map more than dwindling at this point. 13 seconds, plenty of time to get this plant down.
I know exactly.
But a play has to be made, and Shanem just not capable of doing it. Big reveal on Artisan. He's the last one left. It's all up to him to stay alive in this map for his team. And Cloud9 know it. Can play a more disciplined game here. Wait for him to take the peek into him, and the off angle from Mitch is enough to seal it up here nice and early in this series. First map of Pearl going away at Cloud9.
And a statement win for them. MIBR was 5-0 on this map this year, coming off of beating G2 on Pearl. But the first loss delivered by Cloud9 with a truly incredible second half there.
Yeah, I think you've got to be taking this C9 team seriously now. They're taking wins over a number of big names. When you look at what they did throughout Kickoff, for example, and the start of Stage 1, you might have just thought it was only against NRG that they were going to be able to turn up and have great performances. But this team is legit. They are beating up some great squads.
Zeppa had the ire of the community in the offseason, but proving himself again this map. 20 kills to start the series well for C9.
Yeah, it's beautiful stuff so far. They're going to be going into their map pick of Lotus up next as well. It's a map that's just been heating up across the board. This Cloud9 team looking primed. They want to try and make that top 4 playoff spot. A win here in this series will seal it up. Still plenty more action left to happen, though. I'm going to send it down to the desk and going to break it all down and set us up nice and pretty.